Hi everyone, it's James here from Pro Tools Expert, down in the shed with my old buddy Tom Waterman from Universal Audio.
Hi mate.
Great to be back again.
Indeed. Yep, same shirt.
Same shirt, but hey, it's a cover-up. So we're going to talk all things Universal Audio, and we've already talked about some of the other goodies when you weren't here last time earlier. But there's a new software version out, 9.4.
Exactly. And we have something very eagerly awaited, I believe.
Yes, I'd love to say it's the new thing, but it's certainly the thing that everyone's getting excited about, or maybe they're getting stressed about it.
I'm a bit stressed about it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Distressed? About
Distressed,
it?
perhaps? I don't know. Maybe.
Ooh, reveal.
There it is.
Yeah.
The Universal Audio emulation of the legendary Empirical Labs Distressor.
The EL8, yeah, and the only official licensed Distressor Dave Durr approved model.
We like that.
We do like that.
We've been having some fun with this one. We've been playing around with it on some drums. Can't think where we found those. Who'd have thunked it? And we've got 2 tracks to play you. The first one is it's 2 mics, isn't it? It's the kind of the kick drum mic, outside kick drum mic, and what we're going to refer to as the crotch mic.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, the groin mic. Call it what you will. We've used a Warm Audio WA87. Kind of, yeah, just above the kick drum, kind of somewhere by my right knee.
Near the snare and the floor top, isn't it?
Yeah, it gets a nice blend of toms, snare, a nice crack of the snare, great sounding toms.
Not too much cymbals.
Yeah, it's not actually not a bad 2 mic drum mix.
Yeah, into a twin.
Yeah.
And we just went for it, so we're basically running API Vision channels, which is obviously part of the existing UAD and Apollo library, so we can run this in real time. Units and preamps, we track through that, tiny bit of EQ, and then we've loaded up distressors for kick and drum kit.
And we've thrashed it, haven't we?
Yeah, we went pretty hard. I mean,
yeah.
Maybe too hard, but you have to hit
go hard or go home.
the real distressor, yeah.
So let's play back the clean version first. Now I think that sounds pretty good, actually. So for a 2 mic drum track, that sounds pretty impressive.
It's got some good balance, yeah, with big kick.
Yeah, it's got a nice big splat kick drum, snare. I would probably try and push some of those mids up a little bit just to balance it out. But you know, that's definitely an after the event thing.
It's quite shelly and it's quite short. That's the thing as well. It's like the timing of the snare is cool, but the length of the snare is really short.
Yeah.
And the Distressor is really good at that ooshy, make it longer thing, bring up the room.
Well, it's almost the Distressor the cannon shot snare thing, isn't it? Thing. So let's play the stressed out, de-stressed version. Stressed. Well, I think that's a fairly obvious winner in the Distressor camp, isn't it, really?
Yeah, and it's interesting what it's doing to like things like the kick drum waveforms. You can see them invert, like the way it's sort of the odd or even distortion you can apply in the Distressors, like shaping the transient as well as the tail of the drum. And also evening out all of the playing, so like all your fills, all of your snare work, all of that stuff in the cymbals. You have a look at that track there, and it's I mean, that's literally like the pancake.
Yeah, it's hitting it pretty hard, and go hard or go home.
Zoom in and you're like, oh, actually, there's some pretty decent information left in all those drum hits. It's not super ruined or anything like that. There's no like horrendous clipping. I mean, obviously a bit on the front of the waveform, but that's the dist part of the Distressor, isn't it?
Yeah, it's supposed to sound. It's supposed to sound gritty. It's supposed to sound aggressive. It's a Distressor. I mean, normally I would put a Distressor on snare drum top, possibly bottom if I wanted a real sizzle out the snares. Guitars, distorted guitars is where distressors, I think, come into their own. But yeah, looking forward to getting my greasy mitts on that one.
Yeah, for sure.
Admit.
It's got all the like features you'd expect. So it's the non-Brit modded distressor, so you have the 1:1 ratio. So you can use it as a peak clipper or some kind of like saturator. And when you hit the 1% THD and the red line, that's actually rounding out all the transients, which is what we're doing on the fronts of those snares and that kind of thing. So you can hit that hard with the input knob. Then you obviously have attack and release for when you're in any of the compression ratios, and they're all different depending on whichever one you're in has a slightly different shape.
Yeah.
So it's great. I mean, the lower ratios, you can do screamo rock vocals, rap vocals, sung vocals, track with it in Apollo, and actually pull sort of 10 dB of gain reduction, and it won't even sound strangled. It just sort of just controls all these. It kind of pins it into place, just like this is what you need for the performance. But you can then use it slightly slower, for example, like we did on the kick drum. Have like a slower attack set to 8, for example, and just let all the punch at the front of the drum come through. Set it to Dis 2, which is like the even order distortion, and you get a bit more thickness. So all of that stuff is there. You have a little headroom trimmer, which is something new we've been doing on plugins since I think the Fairchild 660, 670, where you're allowed to kind of gain stage the internal operating levels. So whether you record hot or not so hot in your, in your DAW, and also any of the plugins you might have in before or after, you can sort of gain stage how hard you hit the distressor and where.
It's funny you say that. I always find I have to use the trimmer on the Marg EQ4, bring the input level not right down, but certainly down from what is.
Because you just boost.
Well, it's mainly because I'm recording quite hot most of the time.
Oh, is it?
I tend to record at quite an optimum level.
Right. Okay.
But it's nice to have those little tweaks occasionally. But I say I still love nuke mode.
Do you? Yeah, it's that drum room explosion thing, isn't it?
Bring everything out. It's almost transient designer levels of shaping the sound with dynamics, which is great.
Yeah, and you get that like elongated decay, that sort of like hairy, ooshy, airy release thing going on. And the model has all of that, the air and the low frequencies, so bass guitar compression, kick drum compression. It has that thickness that you expect from the hardware. It's just there.
Dude,
thanks a lot, man.
Thank you so much. I've been James Ivey for Pro Tools Expert, and I'll see you again soon for some more gear talk.